The first thing that went wrong was the smell. Not mildew, not rust, not even that sweet rotten scent old buildings get when water has been sitting in the walls too long. It smelled like burned pine, like someone had just blown out a Christmas candle. I was still sitting in my truck when I noticed it, engine idling, headlights washing over the rusted front gates of what used to be Six Flags New Orleans. The big archway sign was half collapsed, letters hanging crooked, the cartoon mascot peeling into something that barely looked human anymore. Hurricane Katrina had killed the park nearly 20 years ago, and everyone in the city knew it. It was one of those places you drove past and didn't look at for too long, but that night I was supposed to be there. My name is Aaron Devereaux. I'd taken a short-term contract job with a private property management company that had just acquired a chunk of the land. They were in the early stages of surveying, paperwork, insurance inspections. They needed someone on site overnight to make sure no one broke in, stripped copper, or tried to squat inside the structures. Christmas Eve was my first night. They told me it would be dead quiet. No traffic, no movement, just 8 hours of walking and logging temperatures. I killed the engine and stepped out. That candle smell got stronger immediately. It didn't belong out there. The whole place was soaked in damp Louisiana air. Standing water pooled in the cracked pavement. Weeds taller than my waist growing through the parking lot. Nothing burned. Nothing had burned. And yet the smell lingered in thick little pockets, like I was walking through invisible clouds of it. The security gate closed behind me with a long metallic groan that echoed way too far into the park. I waited for the sound to fade. It didn't. It just kept echoing, like the noise was bouncing around deeper than it should have been able to. I radioed in. Aaron on site. Static. I tried again. Nothing. The main path into the park was lined with dead Christmas decorations. Someone had put them up years ago for a holiday promotion, and they'd never been taken down. Plastic wreaths hung limp from lampposts, their red bows faded to a sick brown. A few light strings still clung to the poles, cracked bulbs dangling like little teeth. None of them were plugged in. That mattered later. My boots splashed through shallow water as I moved deeper in. I passed the closed snack bars, the boarded-up ticket booths, the warped wooden benches with paint peeling off in long strips. The fog was low and thick, pressing everything flat, swallowing sound. That's when I heard the bells. Not jingle bells. Service bells, the kind you ring at a counter to get someone's attention. One clean metallic ding echoed through the fog. I froze. I hadn't even reached the main plaza yet. There weren't any buildings near me that still had power, let alone working bells. I raised my flashlight, swept the beam slowly left and right. Nothing. Just rides looming in the haze like bent skeletons. I kept walking. Every few steps, that candle smell came back, faded, returned, faded again. When I finally reached the main plaza, my stomach dropped. Someone had lit a Christmas tree, a real one, not huge, maybe 6 feet tall, standing crooked in the center of the cracked concrete circle where families used to gather for photos. It was decorated with faded ornaments and a string of white lights, and it was glowing, soft, steady, quiet. There was no generator, no extension cords, no visible power source. The air around it smelled strongly of pine and burned wax. I didn't approach it. I didn't want to. I slowly raised my radio again. "This is security on site. There's something wrong out here." Only static answered me. Then the bell rang again. Ding. It came from behind the carousel building. I took a step backward. My boot slipped on wet concrete. The carousel canopy was barely visible through the fog, its horses frozen mid-leap, paint blistered and flaking. The bell rang again, closer this time. Ding. I swallowed hard. "Hello?" My voice didn't go far. It felt like it got swallowed up immediately. Something moved inside the carousel. Not the ride, behind it. A shape crossed between the beams of my flashlight and vanished. I started backing away, slowly, trying not to make noise. That's when the lights came on. Not all at once. just the lampposts around the plaza. One by one, a soft yellow glow bloomed through the fog, revealing more of the broken rides, the shuttered booths, the dead fountains filled with stagnant water, and more decorations. Stockings hanging from booth awnings, tinsel draped over handrails. Someone had decorated the park. Recently, I felt watched, deeply, intimately, like something knew exactly where I was standing. Then I heard breathing, not in my ear, not close enough to feel, but close enough to hear. Slow, wet, measured. I spun around, flashlight slicing through fog. Nothing. But on the ground near the tree, new footprints had appeared in the thin layer of dust and grime. Bare feet. Small. They led in a slow circle around the tree. I backed away until my shoulder bumped into a snack stand. That's when the carousel started moving, just a little. The horses creaked, shifting forward a few inches before stopping again. And in the silence that followed, I heard voices. Children. Soft. Overlapping. Whispering. Merry Christmas. I ran. I didn't even think. I bolted down the path toward the old arcade building, slipping, nearly falling, heart slamming against my ribs. My flashlight bounced wildly, shadows leaping and twisting across the fog. Behind me, something laughed. High, breathless, wrong. I burst through the arcade doors. Inside, it was darker than it should have been. Rows of machines loomed like coffins. My footsteps echoed too loudly, too sharply. Then every screen flickered on. Not games, just static. Snow, the kind you'd see on an old TV. The speakers crackled, and then a voice spoke through all of them at once. Aaron. My name. I turned in a slow circle, shaking, trying to find the source. Aaron, you're late, the voice said. My phone vibrated in my pocket. No service. One message. Merry Christmas. I ran again. I burst out the opposite side of the arcade and into the fog, lungs burning, boots slapping through shallow water. I reached the edge of the plaza. The gate was visible in the distance, and standing in front of it was a person, tall, still. They were wearing a faded park uniform, name tag still pinned to their chest. They were holding a small silver bell. Ding. You're scheduled, they said calmly. Their voice didn't echo like mine did. It felt like it settled into the fog. I quit, I said. I'm leaving. They tilted their head. You can't leave in the middle of Christmas. Behind them, lights flickered on across the park. The carousel started turning, slow, smooth. The tree glowed brighter, and in the distance, children began laughing again. I stumbled backward, panic breaking through my chest. My phone vibrated again. No number. One message. Clock in. I don't remember how I got out. I remember running. I remember crashing through fog. I remember the gate slamming behind me. I don't remember driving home. I called the company the next morning and told them I was done. I told them everything. They were silent for a long moment. Then the woman on the phone said quietly, "We don't have anyone named Aaron Devereaux in our system." I hung up. 2 weeks later, I searched local records. I found an article from 2006, a seasonal park employee. Name, Aaron Devereaux, age 19. Reported missing after a Christmas Eve shift. Never found. Sometimes at night my phone vibrates. No number. One message. Merry Christmas. Clock in.